and welcome back. In the last video, we talked about a second part of IELTS speaking test. Let's now talk about part 3. We'll begin the video by talking about what happens in the third part of our IELTS speaking test. We'll then discuss some tips that should help us get a good score in the third part of speaking test. And finally, we'll also practice some questions. Let's now start with a brief overview for the third part of speaking test. So we just finished talking on the cue card. That was the second part of a speaking test. The examiner takes back the topic card and the pencil and paper that we had for part 2, and we'll read out the instructions for the third part of the speaking test, where the examiner may go something like, so we were talking about movies, and I'd now like to ask you a few more questions about that topic. And then the examiner will go on to ask you questions about whatever your topic for cue card was. So yes, the questions for the third part of speaking test are mostly about your cue card topic. Are they going to be about the specific thing you talked about in the cue card? For example, if your question was, talk about a movie you recently watched, are the questions going to be about the movie you just described? No. The questions are going to be about movies, entertainment, TV in general. For example, examiner may ask questions like, in the future, do you think TV will become more popular than cinema? In your country, do people prefer to watch movies at home, or do they prefer to go to the cinema? Part 3 lasts for about 4 to 5 minutes, and there could be 5 to 6 questions. This number could vary depending on the length of your answers. So while in the first and the second part of the speaking test, most of the questions are about you and your experiences, in the third part, questions are more abstract. These are about people in general. So here our answers will be more philosophical than factual, because we'll be asked our opinion on certain things, or would be asked to make predictions about something, or we could be asked to draw comparisons. So in the first and the second part, the questions that the examiner asks are going to be directly from the prompt or the booklet that the examiner has. In the third part, however, examiner may make up their own questions. So this round is more flexible because the examiner now wants to test the extent of your language skills. So depending on your response in the previous 2 parts, examiner may increase or decrease the complexity of the questions for the third part. Let's now talk about what you could do to get a good score on speaking part 3. If you're not too sure what the examiner asked, instead of just guessing and answering the question incorrectly and losing marks, it's better to ask the examiner for clarification. You may even ask the examiner to repeat a question or even paraphrase it. Now, students often ask how long our response should be for part 3. Well, I would say try and give as much detail as possible in your answer. If you're out of ideas, it is okay to stop, but we should definitely avoid giving just a single sentence answer. Always give reasons for your answers and try and support your answers with some examples as well. While in IELTS writing test, in essay writing, we should try and give more general examples. In the speaking module, it is totally okay. I would even encourage students to give some personal examples, because when you talk about your own personal experiences, it shows the examiner that you're very comfortable carrying out a conversation in English. For example, if the examiner asks if cinema will become more popular in the future, I may respond to the question with, well, to be honest, I don't see why cinema should become more popular in the future. I think the opposite may actually happen. This is because we just have so many online streaming services available today, and that definitely was not the case in the past. And also, I think during the pandemic, we have gotten more used to watching movies at home on our TVs rather than going to the cinema. In fact, I don't even recall when was the last time I went to a cinema, and I can't say I miss it all that much. In fact, I really enjoy that I can quickly fix myself a snack while I'm watching my favorite movie. I can pause it whenever I want to. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. So I don't think in the future cinema will become more popular. If anything, it's TV that will grow in popularity. The best way to end your talk is by coming back to the question. That way you're also signaling to the examiner that you're done with your answer, that you've completed your response. Now in the third round, the questions are more general. They require us to give more abstract response, and we are often required to speculate and really think about a topic. So we didn't really come prepared with all of those answers. So we may need a second to actually think what my opinion even is for the question asked. So it's totally okay to pause and take a couple seconds to think of your answer. And we may use some fillers to fill that pause. For example, I may start my answer with, well, as far as the cinema is concerned, let's see. My personal opinion on this would be, as far as my opinion is concerned, I personally believe that, well, to my mind, here I'd like to say that this is how I may start my answer, and then as I'm talking and I want to add to my answer, I may add connecting devices like, as well as that. Apart from that, I would also like to add that another reason I can think of is now, this is not really a tip, but rather an advice for your entire speaking test. IELTS does not test your knowledge, so it is okay to not know much about a question or a topic. As long as you're talking, you'll be good because you're giving content to the examiner to mark you on. For example, say the examiner asks, do you think in the future ecotourism will become more popular? And now if I don't even know what ecotourism is, I can still answer the question like this. Ecotourism, well, to be completely honest, I'm not even sure what the term means, but I think it has to do with the environment and tourism. So I'm guessing it's a form of tourism where we get to visit places of natural beauty, I guess. So yes, I think it will definitely get more popular in the future because I think most people find nature very relaxing. And so in this last part of the video, we'll now practice some questions for part 3. Let's say our part 2 topic was, describe a friend of your family who you remember from your childhood. So we've been talking about friends. I'd now like to ask you a few more questions based on this topic. So let's talk about making friends. What do you think makes someone a good friend to the whole family? A good friend to the whole family, I think being there for them, showing up when they need you. Yeah. And also if you are a people person, I guess, because then you can you have something to talk about with everyone, and you can get along with everyone in the family. Yeah, so I think if you can easily make friends, if you're someone that is very outgoing, very extroverted, then you should have no problem being good friends with the whole family. Do you think we meet different kinds of friends at different stages of our lives? Oh, absolutely. We make different friends at school, and then when we start working, we have friends at work, and we may also make friends outside of work. And as we grow older, we meet different people. Yeah, we definitely make different friends at different stages of our life. And they can be different in so many ways. They are obviously different ages, and then they may have different interests and priorities in life. For example, when you go to school, you are studying together, but outside of your school, you have different social group and you enjoy doing different activities together. How easy is it to make friends with people from a different age group? Different age groups, like friends that are older or younger than us. Yes. Well, yeah, it can be hard. It's obviously not as easy as making friends that are the same age as us, because I don't think you have a lot in common. And I don't really see myself like being friends with people that I have nothing in common with. So I believe it is not very easy to be friends with people from different age groups. For example, if you're hanging out with people that are, say, like 10 years older than you, would you be able to watch the same movies or enjoy the same sports, or I don't know, go to the same places? Yeah, I don't think it's very easy to make friends from people that are not the same age as you. Let's now talk about influence of friends. Do you think it is possible to be friends with someone you have never met in person? Oh yes, more so in this day and age where we have more friends, more online friends than actual real friends. So yes, I do believe it is possible to be friends with someone you've never met in person. Is this true friendship? I don't think so. I think in order for you to be really good friends with someone, you need to have met them, you need to spend some time together. But it is possible to be friends with someone from the internet. What kind of influence can friends have on our lives? I think they can have a deep, a very profound influence on our lives. Friends are the people that we spend a lot of our time with, and I think our friends and our families are the people that we surround ourselves with for the most of our time. So it is but natural that they will influence our lives in some way, in lots of different ways actually. How important would you say it is to have friends from different cultures? Well, I wouldn't say it's important to have friends from different cultures, but it helps to have friends from different cultures. It makes your life a lot more exciting because now you can enjoy different foods. Oh wow, yeah, so that's a big plus. You can enjoy foods from different cultures. You can also enjoy listening to music from their culture. And you could also try and learn their language. So I believe your life becomes more interesting if you have friends from different cultures. Thank you. That is the end of your speaking test. Thank you.